The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 11, Hostiles and Calamities. Interesting episode, without a doubt. It was definitely a Eugene-focused episode, of course, with quite a bit of Dwight sprinkled in there as well. And going through it, it's crazy to watch Eugene go through this weird change where he's always been this character. Of course, he's been the weird character where he totally lied about who he was in general for so long that it was before he even arrived on the series. He came into the series with this lie, and it just continues on and it continues on, and now he's a part of the team and he actually does good. He's helping them actually create weapons and things like that. He gets taken and now he's with the Saviors, and now he has to make those same weapons for the Saviors, and he doesn't seem to have much of a problem with it. And that's the crazy thing about his character. And it's interesting to watch because he seems like he's going through this process of just having a lot of stuff. It's not even that he's really treated better. It's just that it's like, well, we just didn't have a ton of stuff like this. We didn't have Yar's Revenge to play on the Atari, which no one would have that. But I mean, I don't know. They're in some crazy facility. I don't know why that would be there. There was like a super nerd was working there playing Atari, but you know, he doesn't get to play Atari and stuff like that. He doesn't get to play super old games and get pickles and get to have any sort of real power or anything like that where he can do whatever he wants. Which, at the point where he was actually getting comfortable using his power, at that point it was kind of okay, because it was like, I know what's happening here, but he's also doing it for good because he wanted to help this girl kind of get out of a crappy situation. And then of course once he realized what was going on, he went into full Eugene mode, which is just him being a coward, where it's like, I don't want to do that, that's scary. And it really sucked. And I think it was a lot more than the coward thing. It's just the fact that I think he wants it. He likes where he is, and he's comfortable. He gets his pickles, he gets his Atari, and he gets to relax. He gets a nice bed, he gets clean clothes. He can pretty much take what he wants because he makes bullets. He's one of the top people. Automatically, he's enrolled at the top position. And it's all just thrown right at him. And, we get the end of the episode where he's really comfortable. It's like the first time, he starts eating that pickle is after he kind of dismisses the girls. And is like, like, this is where I am now. This is kind of okay. And then we have the ending sequence where, I don't know why he took that little monkey thing, but it was funny. But he has the little monkey sticking out of his pocket. He's just eating a pickle, and he's like, hey, do you want to get, scorched by molten steel and stuff? And it's just like, he doesn't care. Like, he's just in this position now. He says he is Negan, and we'll see if he's playing the part. That could totally be the case, where he's just waiting for his friends. But, as of now, it seems like he's kind of okay with it. Because the beginning of the episode, after he talks with Negan and stuff, he has a little smirk on his face. And no one was watching him do that. I mean, every other character was behind him. It was just the camera. And he has that little smirk on his face. And it's like, this is what he wants, at least for now. And we'll see how that plays out when things get pretty chaotic. And I'm excited for that, because I just want to see how they're going to play around with this character. It's very different than what they did with the comics, so I don't even know where it's headed. But it's exciting. It's definitely interesting to see how long he'll stay with them, how far into this whole mess he'll be before everyone ends up teaming up and taking on the Saviors and stuff like that. What is he going to feel once that ends up happening? Is he going to just instantly take off? Is he going to do anything as he's making these bullets to try to make them weaker? Little stuff like that, trying to make it where they, don't fire as far, because he could totally do that. If he's making bullets, he can make weaker bullets to where they don't travel as far if he puts less gunpowder in them. Little stuff like that where, technically they could shoot off, but, make a couple of real ones for like training and stuff, because he knows they're going to test them, and then, kind of less and less and less, and make, much weaker bullets so that it still has that appearance, but they don't really, do all that. So that could be the case. We might see that once he gets to actually making bullets, because in this episode, the only thing he was really responsible for was actually the ending sequence to, save the walkers from like decomposing and just being like half bodies on top of spikes. So that's really all he was responsible for in this episode. But we're going into it, and I'm assuming he's supposed to be the replacement for the Doctor as well. So we got that, and then of course him making bullets. But it was really crazy. I mean, he's going through, and it doesn't seem like he's having too bad of the time. You know, he seems scared, and he always seems scared. Like, I said this to my girlfriend as we were watching. I was like, he's like 70% crying in this series. So, you know, it didn't surprise me, but we don't really know where it's headed. It, of course, at this point, totally seems like he's fine with it, but it just doesn't seem like his character, which is weird to say because he was a total liar from the beginning of the series, but it's also a little hard to say that he would just instantly turn on them just because things are good. You know, he's seems better than that as a person to me, so we'll just have to see where it goes. But I kind of like what they did with him. It was admittedly, you know, I feel like it could have been a shorter episode with his portions because a lot of his stuff was him saying really long sentences for stuff that could have been like super short. That's just his character, and that for like a full hour, I don't know if that like really entertained me. My girlfriend totally hated that, but for me it was like, some stuff is cool just because some of the moments were good. Some of the simpler stuff was just like, yeah, it's just kind of going on pretty long because he's literally adding like 10 words to something that could just be like yes or no or I will do that or something where it could just be a simple little sentence, and it goes on to the fake science and all that other stuff, and he goes back to the genome project thing, which I thought was funny, as a way to say like, I'm totally worth it, I'm in fact a smarty pants and stuff like that. So I thought that was actually really funny, but I like what they did with it, and mostly I'm curious what they're going to do with it. I think this episode definitely had a good progression for him where he kind of changed from that really scared character to knowing that the guy he was really scared of, the main bad guy, is like, hey, I'm cool with you. If you're cool with me, you do what I say, you get all these nice little things. And he seems to be accepting that by the end of this episode. So it seems kind of cut and dry just from this episode, but of course we have to see how it plays out. If he's really just like sweet and I'm with them now, if he's just kind of doing it for himself, which he could be that character. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. It wouldn't necessarily make him like suddenly he's a villain. It's just like, that kind of doesn't shock me for Eugene to instantly just be like, okay, I'm with you guys now because you have better stuff. Eugene does seem like that type of character, but we just have to, you know, see where it goes. If he'd be willing to risk anything to give them crappier weapons or just find a way to stall. So that's what we have to wait for. And then the other half of this story, or the other half of this episode, I should say, was the story with Dwight. And of course, we go kind of back in time, and we go to the beginning of when they found out that Daryl was gone, and Dwight's freaking out. Dwight gets completely whooped, like they kick the door in and they just wail on him. And then it's like, all right, well, you screwed up, put him in the hole. You know, he said, Negan comes along, did Sherry do it? Did you do it? He doesn't want to say that Sherry did it, but he knows from that very first letter. And he says that she didn't do it. Of course, he didn't do it. So the point is for him to go out and search for her. And I think they did a great job with his story. Like, his stuff, I really loved. The whole episode, I think, with him was really, really good. Like, nothing about his side of the storyline, I think, dragged on or anything. It was just like, how is this going to play out for him? He's already in a horrible situation. Every episode where Negan is there, Dwight is there, and if they are in the same episode, there is at least one moment, typically at least three, where Negan finds some way to shoehorn in the fact that he is now sleeping with Dwight's ex-wife. Somehow, every episode, he manages to pull it off. And he doesn't always say, like, I'm sleeping with her or something like that. But, of course, that's what he means. Saying in this episode she was, like, one of my favorite wives and stuff like that. Very obvious what that means. So, the way they did his story throughout this episode, I really enjoyed. Just the crap he went through getting beat up, and it's not even really his fault that it happened. It was somebody else. And so he has to go out and find her, and of course he goes to the house because he knows where she might go, and it was actually their old home. And he finds this letter, and he reads it, and it really pisses him off, and he, like, you know, pulls the cabinet out and breaks it against the wall and stuff, and he's really upset. And it gets to the end of the letter, and it's like, you know, I don't think you'll even read this. You know, it's kind of like she put all this stuff, and it was almost like, this might not even make a difference because I don't think you kind of care, because you probably have become that new person. Even though, you know, Daryl was there, it kind of reminded you who you used to be, and that's why I wanted to help you. And then we have that ending sequence after he's finished with the letter. He pulls out the pretzel and he pulls out the beer because he was going to take that to her, and they were going to actually be able to take off. You know, like, that's what he was going to do, is leave with her, or try to at least. But he takes out the pretzels and he takes out the beer and he just leaves it there and he goes back. And of course he says, it wasn't her. And he lies and says that he killed her. So I'm sure we'll see her in a later episode. I don't think she's going to get too far. So he says that he killed her to the dock. And then we get to the crazy sequence at the end where admittedly I was super confused because I'm like, who in the world is about to get burned right now? Because I had no idea what was happening. Because I'm like, obviously there's no way he found out the truth unless she just popped up at the end of this episode, which I figured wasn't going to happen. So I'm like, does he just think it's going to be someone? Because it was pretty clear no one was in a chair, and I'm like, I don't think anyone knows who else it is, and I didn't think it was going to be the doctor. But of course, it ends up being the doctor, and the whole time he's just like, I didn't do any of this, and Dwight, rips the piece of letter, says goodbye, honey, and he puts it in his drawer. So he sets him up, and he gets killed. It was going to be simple. He was going to have his face scorched, and then he admits to it. And this is one of those things that I kind of like about Negan with his character, because sometimes he is really crazy honorable, where he will be on the brink of like blowing your brains out, and then it's like, okay, cool, thanks. And then there are other times where he's on the brink of blowing your brains out, and then you admit to it, and he's like, okay, well, I'm still pissed. And then he kills you anyway, but in a really crazy, fantastic sort of way. And instead of just burning this dude's face, it's like, cool. He drops the iron. Everything seems fine. I'm like, yeah, he's a crazy character. Sometimes he will let you go. Sometimes he won't. And it seemed like he was, but he definitely didn't. Because I thought he was just saying that stuff. And at first I was like, he's still just going to burn him on the face. But then I actually heard the iron drop. And I was like, oh, he actually is letting him go. Because at first I didn't believe it. And I was like, oh, wow, he's actually letting him go. And I'm like, well, he doesn't have the bat. He didn't have Lucille, like, in his hand, and he didn't like turn to anyone. So I'm like, well, he's not about to just like, he can't just summon it and like start hitting him in the head. So I'm like, well, he's not about to hit him. And then he just launches him into the flames and just roasts the top half of his body and burns him alive. And I was like, well, thanks, Dwight. I mean, I guess the only reason he did that was because he wanted them to stop looking for Sherry. And I was like, well, even though he said that she died, there was still no real closure to that as far as who to truly blame. But I was just like, man, that seemed real messed up. You got that guy killed for like no good reason. Because I'm like, if they're still questioning it, and they don't believe it's her, which, Dwight was the only person I could say that. And they even reference it where the doctor's like, that didn't happen. And Negan kind of goes through the whole process of why he would lie. And it's like, no, if he lied and she's alive, then I'm going to find her and I'm going to kill him, anyway. But he still ends up, killing the doctor in this moment, even though he's technically not 100% sure. And it's just like, man, he totally got that guy killed. I really felt it was for no good reason. It was like, he didn't have any real evidence. I mean, you said she was dead. It's not like she escaped from you or they would send parties looking after her. You said she was dead, and that was pretty much it. So he was going to do some investigating. He didn't, it's not like Dwight had anything to actually do with it. If he got rid of that little letter and, got rid of that cigarette, there'd have been nothing to it. Like, if he didn't even take the letter with him and he, left the other one that said, leave now, there would have been nothing there. He had nothing to do with it technically. He said Sherry was dead. There was no evidence to say otherwise, because unless she came back to them, they wouldn't have found out. And I'm just like, why would he set that dude up to end something that could still lead nowhere? Like, all they would do is investigate internally, and nothing could possibly come of that. And I was just like, that made no sense to me. So that was just me personally. I really think that guy died for no reason whatsoever, where I'm just like, even if they did, if he was losing his mind and trying to figure out who did it on the inside, it would literally lead to nothing. But maybe because of the chaos that he thought it would lead to, that's why Dwight set up the doctor instead of just leaving it open-ended for Negan to just keep going nuts and trying to beat everybody up. Maybe that's why he did it. I really don't know. I hope we get an official explanation as to why he set him up to die, because I honestly feel like there was nothing whatsoever. I mean, maybe it was just to save his own butt, because he figured, if I don't have any physical proof to bring her back, then I guess all I can really do is set this guy up, because he'll just beat me up. If there's a lack of evidence, he'll put it all on me as Dwight. I don't know. Maybe that's what he thought. Like I said, I just felt like he got that guy killed for no reason whatsoever. I was like, I felt this was easily avoidable. And instead, this dude got like roasted and he's dead now. So that's me personally. I don't know how you guys feel about that, bro. I just really felt it was a senseless death. and like a completely useless setup for something that wouldn't have led back to Dwight anyway as a liar. Like, they couldn't prove that she was dead. I mean, unless it was like, hey, what happened? He could have just been like, well, I shot her in the heart. I didn't shoot her in the head. I couldn't get a clear shot. So she's probably a walker. Easy. No body. Like, that's a simple way to do it. I just don't know. So I hope we get an official explanation for that. It probably won't be in the next episode. It seems to focus a lot on Rick and Michonne going to, like, finding a carnival ground, which I'm very curious how they're going to utilize the space for that in the next episode. But I still enjoyed this one. I am very excited to see where they go with Eugene and whether or not he's truly going to end up siding with the Saviors or how this is going to play out. But good episode. Would love to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts were. And I definitely want to know where you guys think they're headed with Eugene. Do you think he truly is going to turn against, the rest of the main characters and side with the Saviors? Or is he just playing a role until he knows he can set something up, within the base of the Saviors? He could have done something to help the girls in this episode, but he didn't. And that's kind of the biggest factor. Like, did he do that because he's truly scared? Did he do that because now he wants to have that power? Or did he do it because he's waiting for a more opportune time? As crazy and lying as this character is, he does know stuff. He did his little science experiment in this episode, and he knows how to do certain stuff. So there's definitely the possibility that he's just waiting for a better opportunity than, let's just kill him now, right after I show up as the science guy. That could be a reason too. So I don't know, but would love to know what you guys think about it. What side do you think he's landing on, or where he's at truly? And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.